happen for myself and my family. There's no way that this is real, man, it can't be.
How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to Modify Your Life podcast, where I'm your host, Anthony Lopez, also known as Heavy to Modified. And here on Modify Your Life, we talk about modify your life mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. And here is why I named the podcast Modify Your Life, and I didn't stick it to just weight loss, because my boy Chris right here has nothing to do with weight loss. What's up, Chris?
I need
Chris
weight gain.
Wheeler. You need weight gain.
I need weight gain.
How's it going, big dog? How are you doing?
It's going good, man.
You have your own podcast now.
I do.
Does it feel weird being on a different set?
Yeah, it's cool. Supercar mindset, baby.
Yeah, well, let's go. That's where it's at. They can find it on YouTube,
Yeah.
Spotify, everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's go, big dog. Let's go. So first off, it's amazing to have you on my podcast. Thanks for being here. I'm excited to
pleasure.
talk to you and to just kind of get into sharing your story, because I'm pretty sure the first time was not going to be the last time you'll be on my podcast, because I think you have a story that might take a couple podcasts to kind of.
I think a few hours.
I think a few hours, right? And yeah. And we try to stick to like that, 20, 30, maybe 40 minute mark, but we want to keep them on a cliffhanger. But I want to just get to know who Chris was before all this stuff, before the Chris I met. Before Chris I met at Premium like 5 years ago, 4 years. What did I mean, 2020?
No, bro. Like 2018, 2017.
Was it 2018 when I met you?
Yeah.
Just a little young lad.
Yeah.
I had
my first BMW M5. I moved
That's
from
what it
AMG to M, and back then they weren't that good. Now they're a lot better, and I got a bad rap job. I came in and met you guys.
Let's go. Premium Riverside, baby.
Yeah, the little shop.
The little. I now remember. I for some reason 5 years ago. Yeah, that was COVID 5 years ago.
Yep.
So, what is it? What's your story, man? Like, what got you to be this savage who you are today? Because you are. I thought I work hard, bro. Like you. I'm gonna get to your level one day. Not only financially, right, but like just a work ethic. It's just you're a savage. Like you just. I don't know when you fit time to sleep. And to me, like, what built that Chris? Like, what built this version of myself that we're looking at today?
That's like a really good question.
Yeah,
that's a really good question.
Let's say my first podcast.
I mean, dude, at the end of the day, like, I love what I do. I love being around people. I love building people up. I love building businesses. I love creating. Like, really, I love creating. Like, money's a byproduct, So, like, if I make a good product or a good service, like, I'll be paid, I don't have to worry about payments, about bills, if I do it right, if I do right by people. And so just doing good business, having people around me that have their own financial goals and watching their dreams come true, like, the trade-off is my dreams come true too. But like, to answer your question of like how I got to be this way, I got beaten to a place of submission, and I was 19 years old. I was in jail with a strike, and I was a convicted felon. And, I remember that summer hitting the pavement, and it was like 100 degrees in California, and no one wanted to hire me because I had tattoos. I was a felon. I had to add a strike, and I had to disclose that on job applications. And I went, Denny's, Shoe Palace, like everything in between, Toys R Us. Like no one wanted me, bro. And so I just didn't give up because I knew I didn't want to go back to jail. I knew I didn't want to be homeless again. And I was just like, dude, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to like have a different life. And like, I didn't know what that meant. To be honest, I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know like what being rich was. I didn't know any of that shit. All I know is like being homeless sucked. Being addicted to drugs sucked. And I wanted something different for myself. And the place that hired me was McDonald's. And I treated that I treated that like gold, man. Like I went in there and I would look around at my peers, and we're all like 19, 18, 20, 17. And I just outworked them, bro. From that day, I outworked them. And like people were pissed because I came in and people have been there for 3 years. And in 3 months, I was a manager.
Let's go.
Yeah. It was nuts.
That's some dog stuff, man. Like that's some dog stuff. Like I want to kind of dive deeper into that shift though, because you say you got dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
Like, but what was your turning point? Yes, I know you don't want to go to back to Felon. I know you don't want to go back to jail. I know X, Y, and Z. But like, what was that? Like, what was that feeling of like, fuck, like, I need to change. Like, what happened? Like, what was that turning point that really made you become the Chris Wheeler I know today? Business partner.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say like chip on my shoulder, but like almost like a chip on my shoulder where like I was done hearing from ex-girlfriend's parents, from my parents, from my family, from like my friends I left behind to go into like this, I guess party, drug, thievery lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I was done being called a lifer. I was done being called a loser. I was done being called worthless. I was done just hearing that over and over, day in and day out. And like, I was like, you know what? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that you're sleeping on me. Like everyone's giving up on me. Everyone's talking shit on me. Like I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show that like I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm done getting no. I'm done getting told I'm worthless and I'm stupid and I can't do it and I'm a lifer and I'm a loser. I'm done getting told I'm going to spend my life in prison. I'm done. I'm going to go do what none of you think I can fucking do. And today, those same people, not all of them, I mean, you know, when I talk to my ex-girlfriends and things like that, my family, they want me there. They call me for advice. My little brother works with me. We started a business together. And I stole from that cat. I stole his fucking Wii and sold it for drugs. Yeah.
I know
that. Yeah, dude. I stole from my family. They're the easiest people to steal from. I burned a lot of bridges, bro. I'm not saying I didn't deserve to be called a loser. I absolutely did. What I'm saying is I got fed up. And then I got myself in jail. And you know what? I called my mom and she's like, I knew this would happen. People expected it. They expected me to do loser shit. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I put my all into making sure I could steal you, rob you blind, get my drugs, and just fuck you over and manipulate you. So why don't I try to put that same energy into making something better of myself? And today, like, I carry that same thing with me. When someone says I can't do it, I'm like, watch me. Yeah, I think you were kind of nervous to say like that chip on my shoulder, right? But I don't think it's bad to have a chip on shoulder. The reason why we went into business is because I have a chip on my shoulder, because I'm not gonna say took advantage of, I signed the contract, but I was like every stereotype and just seen a little bit of shininess and then ran with it and let them get all the money and me just take the crumbs. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's bad to have a chip on your shoulder. And I think people shouldn't feel that way. They should want to prove people wrong. You know what I mean? I've always been the underdog. You know, I've always been the fat friend. I've always been the one that's there for everyone. I've always been underdog.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, like I've always been the underdog. Even when I started working for Premium, there was someone there that was not part of Premium, but and this was years ago before you. That someone rented a space for a whole nother job, and yet he always said that I wasn't worth it of being there because I was overweight and because I didn't work hard and blah blah blah. But
wait, what is this?
Yeah, this was a long time ago. This is I forgot the name of the business. His name was also Chris though, and he actually got me fired from Premium because he said that I was a bad look, and I was like, that's the last time.
Because you were fat?
Because I was fat, and because he said I wasn't working hard, and that I was a bad look.
You.
No, not you. It was another Chris.
Yeah, but I just didn't look at you.
Yeah, you didn't know. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But you also said
that guy's fat, so I'm not gonna look at him.
Yeah, you've said that before, and I've asked you honest truth, and I personally believe that is true because when I was at my heaviest, you didn't even know who I was until I came around this time around, and I've seen you like 20, 30 times.
Well, it's also energy, right? So when you like, look, I've had plenty of people over the years, and especially now that like my social media presence is like starting to really take off, like
booming.
I get a lot of questions from like all walks of life, and so. Like, I'm not a dick. Like, if people are like, hey, like, I need help, like, weight loss, I'd be like, hey, I don't know how to help you, but I got someone that can. Or, you know, I'm struggling with this or I'm struggling with that. Like, dude, I'm 100% down to help. However, on the other hand, if you don't express that and I don't know, and you give off bad energy or like loser energy or negative energy, like, I also got to be cognizant of like what I allow into my life. And like, this is nothing, there's no offense to you, but like the energy, I could tell that there was awkward energy and bad energy around you. And so, like, you know, I didn't take the time to build a relationship with you because like today I want to add people, and this is important for everyone. You know, I want to add people in my life that add value. So coming around or add energy or whatever, right? And like a lot of people want to drag you down and they want to like, you know, misery loves company. But this time you're coming around like, I can tell there's something, obviously there's 400 pounds gone, but I can tell there's something different about you.
Yeah.
And like, you want to get out there and you want to get it. And so like, I'm here for that. And that's what I was just talking about with like being around like-minded people, creating stuff, you know, financial freedom, like with the homies, with my employees, with my staff, my partners, whatever. And so like, when we talk about that, I want those people in my life.
Yeah.
Because you've already taught me more than you probably know.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that. And the fact that I can bring value, it comes from the work that I put in from weight loss. And I agree with you. I did have a chip on my shoulder. I would have hated you if I would have met you at my heaviest because I would have been like, this guy's had it easy. I would have known your whole story and nor would I have cared because when you do the wrong things in life and you have that loser energy, I'm gonna start using that. I like that shit, loser energy. My two favorite words right now, loser energy and gelatinous titties. Those are my two favorite things I use right now, gelatinous titties. Is like, yeah, I had loser energy. Even though I was around a whole bunch of people and I did work hard, I still didn't have that energy of a successful person because at the end of the day.
You worked hard, for sure, to pay the bills, but until you made that shift of like, weight loss in your journey, I just didn't see you working on yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't surround yourself by someone that's not willing to work on themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so I have a question though.
And I would have loved you, by the way. Like if you came up to me, like I said a minute ago, if you came up to me and you're like, hey man, I'm really struggling, I would have been like, hey dude, like what's going on? It happened the other day in the shop. Someone walked up to me and like, hey, I have a personal question. I'm going through this shit. Now, do I get personal with that person quite often? No. But like, I was like, dude, this is a human level thing. You obviously need something from me. Yeah. So I'm going to take the time to talk to him.
Two human beings just communicating with each other.
Yeah. Well,
right. And what I was saying though, is that the energy that was put off before, you were right. It was loser energy. But quick question though, because of your story and your what you've shared so far, do you have a soft spot for someone in a bad place? Or do you go off of like, hey, they're in a bad place, but I feel the energy they want to change? Like how do you differ? Because I didn't want to change until I did.
Yeah.
You didn't want to change until you did.
Yep.
So you probably had a lot of family members try to help you. I've had a lot of friends and family members try to help me with my eating and obesity and stuff like that. So like, how do you pick and choose like who you choose to pour into? Because if you could take a horse to water, but his mouth's closed, never going to drink.
Sure, exactly. So there's 24 hours in a day. If we sleep 8 of those, we have 16 hours. And you can only allocate so much time. We have so much time to do work, help people, have conversations, have friendships. And so, like, I'm not going to invest in you if you're not going to invest in yourself. Like, I'm sorry. But, like, I can tell after a 15-minute conversation if you're going to want it or not. The door's not completely closed, but I can tell, you can tell when someone's in denial, when they're not ready to change, when they're not ready to, invest in themselves or try something new or form good habits. There's not that breaking point of like, hey, I need to have a breakthrough and have a fundamental change in my life. And they're just kind of stuck. And it's sad. And like, you're right. I can't force them to drink. Like I cannot control someone else, no matter how hard I try. I cannot make them change, no matter how hard or no matter what you think. You do not possess we are not God. We do not possess the power to change them. So I can help. But if they are, and the reason why I say it like that is because you're right. Like I had interventions. I had family members. I had jail. I had a strike. I had all this stuff happen to me. What I didn't share was I got out of jail and I instantly went to shoot up drugs. Instantly. Like that wasn't even enough for me. Like I had to be broken myself and come to a decision myself after everything. No matter, people could tell me for hours and hours and hours and I'd be like, this guy's fucking dumb. I wasn't ready. So yeah, you're right. Like if someone comes to me and they're like, dude, I'm ready. Like I need to change. I'll do anything, bro.
That's the person you want. That and also shows the action with it, correct? You know what I mean? Because anyone can say anything.
It's like this question. You ready?
Yeah.
This is a trick question, so keep your mind alert. I have a shovel, and there's $100,000 buried in my backyard. What time tomorrow do you want to start digging?
I would say now.
That's the correct answer.
What the fuck?
100%.
Right now. Like, what the fuck? What time tomorrow?
That's the test question.
By tomorrow, you're going to be gone. I'm going to take it.
Hey, this is how you can tell people are unmotivated, right? They're like, oh, I got to get up. And maybe like 9:30. I'm like, bro, get the fuck out of here. You don't want to do shit.
My favorite thing is why
aren't we digging right now?
Yeah, right now. Like you might have 100,000 in your backyard. I don't know.
I'm already outside.
Yeah, I didn't need a shovel. I was using my hands. I was using a spoon.
Exactly.
Right. But my favorite thing is what's going on right now is like the guy he's on stage. He thinks he's talking to like a group of people. He's like, everyone raise their hand and raise their hand. And he's like, yeah. He's like, now raise it higher. And he's like, well, why didn't you raise it at 100% the first time?
Oh,
and that shit's tough.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Because it's so true. Because we instantly go into like the half-ass mode until we're like driven or told to do something.
Yeah.
So when you're asking me a question of if there's $100,000, you have a shovel when we go dig. Like I'm thinking like where my headspace is at, motherfucker, let's go now.
100%.
Like, and the podcast is done. We're out of here. But that's because I've been dragged through the mud. I've been depressed and suicidal, ready to take my life. I'm not sure we never really got deep into that. And I don't share with a lot of people. Daniel didn't even know this until I talked about it on Andy Frisella's podcast. But I was ready to go. I had a plan of how I was going to take myself out. I own multiple guns, and I was ready to go, and I was ready just to end it because at the end of the day, I felt that I was just so useless in life to the point where my girlfriend had to help me put my shoes on, to the point where like, that's fucking depressing, bro.
Because you're so fat?
I was so fat that my own girlfriend, right, the girl that lays in bed with me, I could, but it's like I was so sore in the morning waking up, she would help me. And I was like, it's because she loves me. It's just being fat. You couldn't sleep comfortably. It was hard to breathe. I slept on it was a whole bunch of weird shit, right?
That's terrible.
But that is a horrible life to live. And the reason why I'm so gun home, the reason why that you see the energy now compared to what you've seen before is because, bro, I've been through hell. I've been to hell.
Yeah.
I've literally been to hell. I've been to hell to the point where I was ready to take my own life, and I'm a Christian man. So the fact that was even an option,
yeah,
it just like bothers me that I even thought about that. But that's how low I was in life. Now everyone's
Wait,
version
Christian
of
people can't take their own life?
no, it's a sin. I think no one can take their life.
So it's a ticket to hell.
That's a first. I think that's the number one ticket. To hell. I think,
That's intense. All right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's one of those. It's one of those things where it's like, that's how bad I got. Now I don't want. My goal is not to get someone to go get a strike and then become a Chris Wheeler. My goal is not to get to someone to
well,
go
everyone's
to
hell is
650 pounds.
different. I mean, I really resonated with that. Like, yeah, like I've already been to hell too. Like I've already been to hell. I've been on the streets. I've robbed people. I was addicted to drugs. Like I robbed my own family. Like I've been in hell. So like all the stuff that I deal with today, like business, employees, like more money, more problems, that whole shtick, like, but I've already been to the worst part of hell. So like having this mind to, because it, you're in business, so it takes an enormous amount of pressure, and you need a lot of grit and resilience to be good at business. You have to be smart. You have to create something new.
No,
you have to build a new fire. You just have to outwork the next guy. That's it. Something I talk about on my stuff too. You just have to outwork the next guy.
Yeah.
You just have to outwork the next guy. And for me, like, that is, for the normal person, it's hard. It doesn't mean the normal person can't be like, oh, I'm going to go do it. But like for me, my story, like I've already gotten myself beaten into a place of submission. So like going to run a business and get my shit kicked in sometimes, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I get to deal with this instead of slamming drugs, on some random street.
Or robbing my family.
Yeah, this is dope.
No, I told my clients this, right? We either buy a violin or we put a helmet on. And that's male or female. Right? Because at the end of the day, you play violin, that's cool. Go join the freaking sad song over there. But the people put a helmet on are ready to go through war. And going through the things I've went through, it hasn't made me, I'm not better than someone. It just made me a stronger version of myself.
Correct.
Because, I'm not sure if you know this, but 3 months before I stepped on stage of a bodybuilding show, my dad was murdered in Anaheim. Stabbed to death. Broad daylight. Had to watch photos, had to watch video of it happen, had to go to court 1 to 2 times a week, 1 to 2 times a month for 12 months.
Damn.
Right? He got 65 years to life already. He's already done. But after
why did he kill him?
It's for over a girl, over stupid. Live by the sword, die by the sword. You know what I mean? It's just it's just he liked that lifestyle. But at the end of the day, how I look at it from that is
ain't no girl worth killing somebody.
No, ain't no girl worth dying for. You know what I mean? Like that though. Over some
Dude.
stupid stuff. Now, maying moms, moms might be worth it, definitely for sure. But
I died for my kid though. I died for my kid all day.
But it's one of those things where it's like I've been through hell multiple times. I've been to hell multiple times, and I know that I don't want to ever go back. So if I need to sit here and keep throwing shit at a wall until something sticks, then I'm willing to do it. And if the next person is not willing to put in the work to go get to unbury that $100,000, I'm gonna do it. And that person is not willing to put in the work to build a successful coaching business, I'm gonna do it. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to go back to hell, physically or mentally. It's not a place where I want to revisit. I want to visit there when I want to utilize it. When I'm starting to be a pussy, when I'm starting to be lazy, when I'm not lifting that weight heavy, when I'm not going for a run. But I don't want to live there anymore because that shit was miserable. And I'm pretty sure you can relate with that.
No, I'm just really glad I came on here because, I've been sober for almost 14 years. It'll be 14 years in June, and
Congratulations.
That's a long time, and so I can forget where I came from. So this is cool to talk about this because I need to remind myself as much as I can where I did come from. I was homeless. I was broke, in debt because I'd overcharge my accounts to get drugs. Like I didn't have a car. My family didn't want me. I had 2 pairs of clothes. Like we're really blessed today,
Yeah.
And like people don't have to go through that. Like use us as an example of like how bad it got. And like, yeah, it's motivating, but like at the end of the day, like if we can come back from that, people like us can come back from something like we've been through and build a successful business or a successful life, whatever that looks like. A normal person, and I use quote normal because I don't really know what normal is, but someone that hasn't had like a traumatic life experience, like in that level, but shit happens to people, but like you've had a pretty normal life, let's say, if that's you,
Cool.
there's no excuse why you can't do it like us. There's none. We had all the cards working against us, like 100%. Like statistically, I should be in prison.
Yes, I should be dead.
Like, yeah,
Or a loser.
exactly. I should be dead or in prison or on the streets doing drugs. Like, because, I'll just say it. So I did all the drugs. My favorite drug was meth. And like the recovery rate of meth is like 90% return, like not recovery,
That
like
high.
90% return. And like it's like in the 90s or high 80s to return to jail. Once you're in the system, once you're a felon and you're convicted, like staying in the system, like you're pretty effed too. So
Yeah.
like, when I was 19, the judge was like, hey, like you're 19 years old. So I'm gonna do you a solid. Like, if you do not catch another case for 3 years, you will walk away with a misdemeanor. No strike, no felony. But you have to complete rehab. You have to get a job. You have to be a protected member of society. You have to not get in trouble. I did that. I don't have a strike today, or I don't have a felony today. I have a misdemeanor, right?
Let's go.
And so, I forgot I was going with that.
Strike, you felony, you overcame the battles. You overcame it. Look where we're at today. Well, the main thing is, too, is we haven't even talked about this, but Chris, let them know where you are today, because I know you. Like, no, because we haven't spoken, but like, if people notice, this guy has a freaking $20,000-$30,000 watch on. He has $700 shoes on. He has shoes.
I think it's $40,000.
$40,000 watch. Sorry. Okay. I didn't even know which one it was. $40,000 watch. $700 shoes. And yes, it's like, oh, well, it's materialistic shit. But there's a lot of work that goes into the materialistic stuff, right? So, like, what have you built since that Chris that stepped out of prison addicted to drugs?
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say is if I can overcome that, you can overcome anything. I don't care what your excuse is.
Facts.
But who I am today, I mean, to summarize it, and it's weird saying. It's weird saying. It just is.
So motivating. And you're also the first on this podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am a multimillionaire multiple times over. I own about 7 businesses. I have a fleet of cars that are probably worth in the 3 or 4 millions. Watches worth in the millions. I have a wonderful kid. I'm a good dad. I'm not with the mother, so I'm a good co-parenter. I'm a good brother. I have 9 siblings. I own my house outright. I employ probably like 60 or 70 people at my peak before I got bought out of my last venture. I had 400 employees.
Yeah,
at
we'll
one
save
point.
that story for that. That's a good
story.
one. That's a whole nother story.
We almost went public, so I got to spend 8 months going through like the whole process of taking company public, and I got put in a position where I got a really good attorney. He's one of my best friends today, and the deal wasn't good. And I got put in a position where I was able to turn down going public, which is a lot of people's dreams, to go public, and the numbers just didn't add up because, like I opened with, I would have been much richer, but it didn't make sense because there wasn't enough of what the company was actually valued at. What we got, our evaluation we did internally and outsourced was versus theirs, and so it wouldn't leave my employees with enough. And I couldn't look, the 400 people in the face and be like, "Hey, yeah, hand the keys over, so you're fucked."
I'm good, but you guys, and that right there is dignity. It's respect. It's you have a moral compass, and that's fucking dope. And I think that's really, really awesome that you would do that for other people, which obviously we know in this podcast doing the right thing leads to blessings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we do the right thing because we just want to be good people. But I just want to, before we end the podcast, right, because we have a lot to talk about, is it this? You had like a 90% chance of getting re-addicted to drugs.
Yep.
And then not only did you overcome that, right? You also are in the top, 0.1% of human beings. Is it 1% of human beings, millionaires?
I would firmly say I'm top 1% of the world, because you can look that up. Like top 1% isn't really that, and it's all relative. So I don't mean like it's not that hard in the way of like what top 1% is like $600,000 a year more.
Okay. So then then there has to be another percentage for that multi-million.
I don't know if I'm one of one, but like I can firmly say when I get asked, like in the top 1%. So if you're at home right now watching or listening or at work and you make, I don't know, somewhere in the realm of 120, 130,000. And this was cool because when I got my first, this is for another time, but I jumped from McDonald's into sales, and one of the operations manager people, I don't fucking know, pulled me aside one day. He's like, "Hey, you make $150,000 a year." I'm like, "So what?" He's like, "You're the top 10% in the world. You know that?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know." He's like, "How's that feel?" I'm like, "It feels pretty badass."
Yeah.
I was 23 years old. I was like, "This is sick." So if you are like making 6 figures, like, and you don't know this, like, you deserve a pat on the back. Like, you've made it pretty much the top 10% of the world. That's huge.
That's humongous.
And it all compounds, bro. Like, that's what I've seen. Like, from that point on, like, it's compound. I mean, I've years where I've gone down, I've been years where I've been up, but it all grows. It all snowballs.
Yeah, it's the domino effect it's the compounding interest of the right thing, correct?
Yep.
Because I know when I made my first 50,000, I was like, "Holy shit, I'm rich."
Yeah,
right. And
me
then I
too.
made 100,000. I'm like, "Holy shit, like I'm doing this."
Yeah.
150,000, 200,000. I'm like, "What the fuck?" And now we sit back and I'm just like, like for instance, just to throw something, right? And then we're gonna end the podcast. We have another one. Someone, Des got to shoot. Is this? So there was a very big flex that I did the other day. There's 2 flexes I did, and you were actually present for both of them.
Okay.
Right. So one of them was when we all went to Javier's,
Okay.
and I covered the bill. I could never do that before. you'll say a year ago,
And
4 or 5 years.
An
I
important
couldn't do
rule
it.
for me too. I will always offer to cover the bill.
You did.
I'll offer once, but once you say, "Hey, I'm covering it," I don't ask again because a free meal's a free meal. So,
Yeah.
So good on you.
Yeah, no, it made me feel good. It made me feel
you.
good. It wasn't
It was
a flex.
yummy.
It was yeah, Javier's is always good. And I told Frankie, I was like, I didn't care what it was. I didn't know what the bill was. I gave him the card, the business card, it's a business write-off. And I paid it. And I could never do that for my best friend before or you. Or I couldn't do that
Yeah.
before. I'd be sweating. If I did do it, I would sweat. But I never did that because I couldn't afford it. And another thing is we went on that rally and I had to cover all the hotels because whatever was on the emails, that was that was $4,000 worth of hotel stay. And I didn't struggle. I didn't like, oh yeah, he's good for it. I know he's good for it. And
That's
I sat
what
back.
everyone says about me. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It kind of works against me sometimes, but yeah.
Hey, I had to go take your car for the rally, but when I got back, I'm like, babe, like I've never spent that much money before and just not been like, I was like, wow, like it was like really like a full circle moment of like, damn, like I'm not an Uber driver anymore. Like I'm not fat Hefe anymore. I'm not a fat friend. I'm not like that. I don't have that loser energy. And yes, it's a financial thing, but at the end of the day, it's the work behind it is what made me feel good about that.
But bro, end of the day, like they say money doesn't make you happier. You're right. It is like a destination inside of yourself that you have to figure out to make yourself happy. However, what I will say though, going through life and having financial freedom, situations you find yourself in where like, these hotels, I submitted my credit card, but a lot of times they don't charge you to arrival and they make a whole deal about not being there or whatever. So like that happens in life and you're able to be like, okay, like I'm just going to text Chris and take care of it. And like a lot of people aren't able to do that. A lot of people live in paycheck to paycheck. And so like they get worried about a flat tire or whatever. And like, dude, you didn't have to, you do what most people couldn't do. Or like, yeah, let's cover it. He'll pay me back later. And I do want to leave a cliffhanger if that's okay.
100%. Yeah. Cause
So my cliffhanger is this. You asked what I'm doing today. I went over like my net worth and stuff. And so I know we'll get into it at some point, but I think something really motivating is the business venture that I sold out of a couple of years and kind of restarted because I did have a restart and that's something we get into later.
I watched that.
Our gross revenue at that business for 2022 was $200 million.
$200 million.
Companies like, what is that company?
It's like Nike numbers. What does Nike make?
Billions or trillions.
Oh,
But
billions. Okay.
what's that thing? What's that thing that people use? Like it like hits your muscles or whatever.
Oh, the
Therabody.
Therabody.
That's like Therabody. Like they do like those kind of numbers. I was doing those numbers. Just to put in perspective. It's fucking nuts.
That's big boy number. No, I definitely want to talk about that story.
Did you know that before I told you?
What you were
Is
doing?
the first time I
Bro,
told you?
I've watched your underdog story grow. That's why I knew so much about you, bro. You gotta remember, I remember you when I first met you. I remember filming you. I remember this little scared guy in the camera.
I remember you.
You know what I mean? And you had him with BMW, the white BMW. I remember this stuff, bro. I mean, we talked. Every single time I seen you, you were like leveling up. The car. I didn't know who you were as a person.
Yeah.
It was like a BMW, and it was another BMW, and then it was like a Rolls Royce, and then it was, I don't remember, but I kept having my eye on you. I was like,
Who is this guy?
who is this guy? But every single time I seen you, bro, you leveled up. And then fast forward, look full round circle, look where we're at today. Look where we're talking today. We're business partners today. We're about to do something that's going to kill the coaching game.
100%.
Right? It's I refuse to not let it do that. And it's just like one of those things that I know what your story is. Daniel shared a lot. You shared a lot with me. And I'm excited for other people to hear that because what I'm noticing with the problem in the world is right now is that we take failure and we turn into our personality.
Yeah, that's so lame. What the hell is that?
Yeah, and I don't want the people that listen to my stuff to take failure as a personality. I want to take people to take failure as a lesson. So
Failure does not define you, but it is a lesson you must learn. And to get that 200 million, you want to know how much money I lost? How many lawsuits I got myself in? How much shit I got kicked in my fucking face, bro? Bro, in the tens of millions, I got my shit kicked in because I had to learn those lessons. And so it's really easy to sit there and be like, oh, I failed. I'm going to give up. No, I was like, bro, I cannot give up.
Yeah.
When I gave up, I went to jail. I was on drugs. I was fucking homeless. That's giving up for me. And I was like, bro, like, there is no way. Like, what is the way to move forward? And like, okay, I did this thing that like cost me $5 million. I was like, I do that again. 2 months ago, you know the story. $2 million issue again. Before that, $2.3 million issue like last year. So like, just because I'm successful today doesn't mean I make mistakes. And like the mistakes just get bigger, bro. They just get bigger. So I was telling my brother because he was tripping out, and I'm like, dude, you're blessed. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's all relative. Like when I started my first business, like our first month was like $80,000, which is actually really good. But we would average that year like 80 or 90K a month. And That's gross revenue. And I got myself into a situation where I created a brand that was too similar to something else on the market. I got a phone call, and the guy calls me and he's like, hey, like, this is, IP infringement. And I said something to the effect of like, go fuck yourself, basically. Chris Wheeler OG. And
CWA.
he sent me a lawsuit. He was a lawyer. So I had to get on the phone and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What do I do? He said, you can send me a check for 18 grand. When you're only doing $80,000, $90,000 a month, that's a big deal. That's a big hit. So I was telling my brother, I'm like, bro, like, yeah, we have these $1 million problems today because we're doing millions of dollars. Back in the day when I first started, I had $10,000, $20,000 issues. Hershey sued me at one point. That was like 30 grand.
Wall Street stuff,
dude. They are not nice. They don't like when you use their candy for stuff. They do not like that. So these are stories we can get into, but yeah, it's all relative, bro. It's all relative.
Yeah, I love that, man. This is the first but not last of Chris Wheeler be on the podcast, but I think it's safe to say, and if you want to, piggyback off this, is that I'm not where you're at, but I'm not where I once was. But my goal is to get where you're at, chase the mills, and I know your goal is to chase the billions. And I think it's safe to say we both just didn't quit.
Yeah,
we just shovel shit every single day. And working with you, bro, I've been shoveling some shit, but it's worth it. It's worth it, man. So thanks for being on the podcast, man. I appreciate you. Definitely going to get another podcast shot. Thanks for sharing your story. And everyone out there that's got something from this and learned from it, that's someone that is, kind of just feeling like, your life sucks. It probably does suck, but it most likely sucks from the decisions you've chose to make. And you can always fix that, because if you could build a horrible life, you could create a better life. At the end of the day, this is Modified Life Podcast, where I'm your host, Anthony Lopez. Today we have Chris Wheeler. All his information will be down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share your favorite part, and let us know what you want to ask Chris, because not every single day that you get to actually listen to a real millionaire, it's not every single day that I get to talk to a millionaire. At the end of the day, this is a very amazing and blessing opportunity that I'm giving myself because of the work I chose to put in and surround myself around the right people. But at the end of the day, you have to understand this. There's a lot of fake people out there. There's a lot of people that don't own their stuff. There's a lot of people that rent from you.
Yeah.
Right? To fake and flex that stuff. And that's whack. At the end of the day, we're going to say this, though. It's always impressive to actually sit next to someone like you and really dig deep and take your listen to your stories and just how you made it, man. Because I know out of everything I know about you, I know you're not fake when it comes to what you do and what you make. And that's really cool, because surrounded by a whole bunch of people that are fake, it's really cool to be surrounded by someone that's real. Right? So get out there and win. Start shoveling shit and understand that, yes, someone may have it better than you, but they probably worked their ass off, and the work that they chose to put in that you didn't see means you have to work equally, or if not even harder, to be successful. Because at the end of the day, we all have the opportunity to be better and be great, but it's between what you're willing to do and what you're not to do. Get out there and win.
All this happened for myself and my family.